there, business owners and entrepreneurs. You've landed on The Marketing Corner, brought to you by CS Design Studios. Every week, we serve up essential insider tips and powerful strategies to elevate your brand. So, let's level up your marketing game. Stay sharp, stay tuned, and let's kickstart your path to marketing excellence. Right here, right now. Your adventure begins.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Marketing Corner presented by CS Design Studios. As always, it's my name's Sean Campbell, the CMO of CS Design Studios, and engineering our podcast today, Mr. Aaron Owens. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great. How are you?
How come you only got the applause and I didn't?
Selfishly, okay, for sure.
It always happens. Thank you. I appreciate that. How's your weekend, Aaron?
It was great.
Yeah?
It was really good. Yeah.
What's your review on the movie you saw?
Oh, I saw the Hunger Games, the latest one that came out. And I thought it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It was a prequel. So if you're a fan of the other movies, I think you would like this one.
Yeah.
It's a long movie, but it was good.
If you go on IMDb and out of 10 stars, how many stars does it get?
I would probably give it 7.
Yeah, and you're kind of particular. No offense, but you're you're kind of the artistic guy here. You are, yeah, more style than all of us put together.
Oh no, I wouldn't.
Oh yeah, you do. By far, by far. Our special guests today are Nin and Shane Barela from The Scented Leaf. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
I met the two of you just last week, and you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Normally, I'm out of here by 4. I don't know if you know that, but I stayed till way past 5 for you guys. You guys, I mean, the time flew by. Oh, no, I appreciate you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Just, you guys are full of energy and fun and just the market knowledge that you guys have of what you guys do. And you're going to explain everything what you do in a second here. I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. I don't know if you guys' ears have been ringing since last week, but I've been bragging. I met Shane and Nin from Scented Leaf.
Thank you so much.
And I've been giving everybody, whether they want it or not, education on all their drinks that they drink. And it was all from, the first hour or so, we're kind of talking some business and everything. But after that, I mean, the two of you just gave me an education. And I loved it.
Awesome.
I loved it.
Well, we'll quiz you after this then.
No, I'll pass with flying colors. I know that. I mean, so tell us about the two of you. I mean, tell us about your journey and, Oh, you got to start from the very beginning, though.
Okay. It's quite a story. It's something definitely different than most stories.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was our story, and we really love it, and it got us to this point where we're at right now. But yeah, our story started, we met in our mid-20s. We're both U of A graduates. We basically went through that process, and in our mid-20s, we met each other. And when she met me, I was in real estate, and I was doing some good stuff with it because it was kind of the housing boom. There's a lot of apartments turned into condos, so I was able to jump on a train that basically allowed me to have some business right off the bat, and I was able to have some money built up. And I saw that there was a change happening with the market. It was a lot of housing that was selling really fast, but almost like too fast. And everyone was talking about the bubble to burst. So I started looking for alternatives. I was like, real estate's great, but I want to have something else to kind of fall back on. So I started off going into insurance, and I thought that'd be a good idea. And I did that for a year. And this is actually a little bit before the real estate boom. So I did that, didn't work out. Real estate kind of worked for me. I met her, and then I was like, all right, now I need to do something with this money. And I started looking for a business opportunity just here in town to kind of start something new and something that I could rely on as a secondary income. And along the way, I was asking a lot of people, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I came across a guy that I met who I bought a truck from. And he was someone I just randomly met through someone else. And I called him up and I said, hey, I know you are at the Tanque Verde swap meet here in Tucson. And I was like, hey, I'm just curious if they're able to let me sell stuff there, like food. Like I want to actually make drinks. So I was thinking about having gelato. So I tried first to go to High Corbett, but they were like, no, we kind of have that locked in. So I said, okay, so swap me. So I talked to him about it, and he's like, well, they kind of have it locked in too. They don't really let you have really too much say with that. They kind of control the food, and if you did sell, they would take a big part of your money. And I said, okay. He's like, well, if you're looking for a business, there's a guy across the way from me who has a perfume business. And I was like, well, wow. I was like, that's not me. I don't even wear cologne. I think I have a bottle that will last me 10 years. It's just not something I really grew up with. And he was like, well, okay, but this is a cash business. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of traffic that goes through his place, and it's not what you think. And in my mind, I'm thinking swap meet. I'm thinking like people have just some makeshift setup, some kind of tent, a tarp, even just a table. And I was like, I grew up with
fake stuff too. We were like suspicious.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to go down this. This doesn't seem like it's me.
Stuff,
right?
Yeah, it was just like loaded with that. And I said, no, but you know what? Maybe I should just take a look. So we go over there and we kind of spy on the place, and we're kind of watching from a distance, and we watch people go in. They have a good interaction with him, the guy who was the previous owner, and then they would walk out with a bottle of perfume and cologne, or 2 or 3 bottles, and I was like, wow, okay. And then we went up to him and we said, hey, listen, we're interested in, I heard you want to sell your business. We're interested in buying it, but I need to see your books. And Swap Meet Books is a notepad with handwritten, I sold this, and I sold a bottle of Calvin Klein Eternity for this price. Oh, I had to give a deal on this one, so I sold this for less. And it was just like a bunch of numbers, right? It was an, I think, computer. And I said, okay, I'm going to see a month of that. So we waited and got a month of it, and I was really surprised. So I go to Nin and I said, hey, I know we just kind of, we just met for the most part.
In like a year.
Yeah, but for her to jump into a business with me.
Right.
Hey, you want to go in business with me a year later after we started dating, And she was there with all the real estate stuff. So it was fun because so many things were happening, and I was selling a lot of condos, and it was great. But I could feel like that was changing soon. So I was like, I'm going to do something different. I was like, what do you think about this perfume business? And she's like, well, I love perfume. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I knew perfume since I was a kid. So I was like, sign me up.
Right. She knew all the brands. She knew everything about. She knew storylines.
Wow.
She knew Coco Chanel's story. She just, she lived in New York, so she worked for an ad agency and lived in New York and just got to experience all the ads and perfume stuff. And I was like, well, I'm thinking about buying this. Are you want to do this with me? She's like, I'd love to. And I was like, okay, well, let's buy it. So I gave the guy, I think it was $20,000, and then another $5,000 to $8,000 for the inventory. And then from that point on, we were there. We were there for 5 years.
Wow.
We were there just,
every weekend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brutal. I mean, it was, honestly, it was one of those things. Yes, it was brutal. The weather was intense. It was hot. It was cold. It was rainy. But we had like a concrete foundation with tile, and we had a building that actually had, it was a room. It was like an actual 2-car garage, basically, and it had a garage, so you could actually open and close very easily. So it was very easy to work with. And we always say that time period was kind of the most important, and it was something that we were most proud of, because that was a time that we had to really kind of like change our lifestyle.
Right.
Now we're out there on the weekends. I couldn't hang out with my friends. She couldn't hang out with her friends. We're now focused on this, and we were basically out there for 5 years. So during that process, we got to meet all these different people, learned different ways of communicating with customers. We started working on our spiel, which is all about like make sure every customer has the same experience, and that started pretty much like the beginning of our career of just being in retail and service. And the market changed on us, unfortunately, but in hindsight, it was a very good thing. But the market definitely changed. There was a lot of political stuff that happened where people stopped coming to Tucson to go to the swap meet and buy stuff. So they started saying, we're going to kind of stay away from Tucson. We're going to go to California instead. So Arizona was kind of almost like boycotted during this time of politics. And we said, okay, all right, well, during this time, along the way, we opened up a store in Phoenix inside a little rancheria. It's like a food city. Yeah. And we were in the corner in a little place. No one even saw us, but we were there, and we thought it'd be a great opportunity. We thought all these people are going to buy from us, and we just realized it was not going to work out.
And you went to Phoenix, but I stayed in
she stayed.
Oh, wow.
to run the...
So she was working Tucson. I was working in Phoenix. We lived separately, and it was a summertime that just basically was a summer of doom. It just didn't work out. It was just brutal, and it was just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to. I love Phoenix in a sense, but I don't want to live in Phoenix. I'm a Tucson boy, and I said, you know what? It's not working out. So I lost money. Came back with my tail between my legs. I said, okay, let's try it again. So we walked down. We lived in an area nearby the University of Arizona called Sam Hughes, and we basically were like, all right, let's go see what else is going on here. Let's just go check out what other businesses are doing. So we walk down, and we see a place that was a It was I believe it was a clothing store. Now it's a clothing store.
Yeah.
But
It was vacant though.
it was vacant, but beautiful location, corner spot. And we said, oh man, this is great. So we go to the landlord and we're like, hey, we would like to rent because we need to go away from the swap meet. We need to kind of build our career. What about that spot? And she's like, well, that's like 3,000 square feet. You're at the swap meet, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Like, I don't really trust you have the ability to pay that. And I said, you know, you're probably right. I don't think we can afford it anyways. It sounds great. So she's like, however, we have a little spot down the way that has never really worked out for anyone. But if you want it, it's yours. And I said, let's go take a
If
look.
you also want to not work out, there it is.
Yeah, if it doesn't work out, no one cares. So we got the spot. It used to be it's
Jones Photo.
Yeah, it was a one-hour photo. You remember that place?
Yeah.
And then it was like I think it was a scooter shop. It used to sell scooters. And that place was vacant, and it was 10 feet wide by 35 feet. It was like this rectangle.
Yeah.
And it was tiny, and we said, we'll take it. We'll jump on it. We'll take it. This is great. This is perfect for us. And we signed the lease, and all of a sudden we were, renovated, made it look really nice, and did, a step up from our swap meet store. We thought we were all artistic and cool, and we had this like really cool back wall that had all the quotes from Coco Chanel.
Oh, of course.
And we had it on vinyl stencil, and it was beautiful. It really was nice.
really was nice.
But it was 10 feet wide, so someone can put their arms on both sides. Like a basketball player from the U of A can go there and go, oh, this is cool. Right. This feels like my room. So we had one wall that had perfume, and then we basically had people come in and we do the spiel once again. So everyone had the same spiel, but it was now geared towards something a little bit different, but similar. And then along the way, we had really nothing coming in for sales. We pretty much got saved. So the swap meet was starting to get liquidated because we just were not getting the business that we used to. So that was kind of going down. And then we had the university store not really doing anything. So everything was starting to get a little bit scary. Yeah. And I moved away from real estate. During this time, she lost her job because of the housing crisis and the financial crisis. We went through all those recession stuff.
Yeah.
So she lost her job. So she was now reliant on this business. And I was like, okay, I'm not really making any money anymore. My real estate is gone. Now I'm like, in this situation. So I couldn't really tell her exactly how bad it was. But she just kept working through it.
Glad you didn't. No.
Yeah, right?
Looking back.
It was just incredible how we kind of went through this like phase of like really no money. And during this time, everything kind of, pretty much went away. My car went away. My ability to pay bills kind of happened. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do here? And along the way, we came across some students, some international students. They were from Dubai and Middle East. And they loved perfume and cologne. And the typical university student, they would get perfume and cologne from mom and dad during the Christmas holidays.
Right.
They would get it as a gift. They didn't get it as a, hey, I just want to like buy it on a regular basis. But the different cultures, they do, right? The Hispanic culture does at the swap meet, so we had that. And then we had to find another type of market to be able to sell to. And luckily they came in and we hit it off. We really had a good time with them. And she actually hit it off really well with one of them. And we just had a really good relationship with them. And they would come in, and I swear they would come in and buy 2-3 bottles
At a time.
Wow.
Like almost every
multiple
day.
times a week.
Wow.
And they had the money to, blow, and they basically said, yeah, I want to spend on this. So they would spend $300, $500 on bottles of perfume and cologne. Wow. And they literally were the only person that we had that would come in and buy like that. Other than someone random, like, I'll buy something for this price that's $25 or $35. Because remember, we were a perfume store that was discounted. So we were selling real stuff, but we weren't selling it at the MSRP.
Right.
And people sometimes were having a hard time with that. They would go, well, why is this different than what I see at Dillard's? So I'm like, well, Dillard's is selling it at the highest price. It says MSRP, suggested. We're selling it at a price that gives you a deal.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't really understand that. They were like, nah, it seems weird. It seems a little shady. So we said, okay. So then we started changing our prices to full. And they're like, oh, we'll buy it.
Yeah.
But it was a little, not enough business coming in regardless. And we said, okay, this is getting a little bit weird. So we had this big trip. This is our turning point in our career. We had this big trip that when we first started dating, we said, let's go to Italy. Spain. Sorry. Let's go to Spain. And I went when I was younger, backpacking. She went when she was younger. And we said, let's do this together. This is going to be beautiful. And then we can basically, really start our family and all sorts of great things on this trip. And basically we booked everything 6 months in advance. So during the 6 months
On
waiting
a
for
credit
it.
card.
Yeah. And then the money started going down, down. Business started getting worse, worse, worse. So around a week before we're leaving, I'm broke. She's broke. She, you know, we lived in that area I was talking about. She's in the back of the house, like in the backyard. And she's like, hey, I need you to come out here. And I said, okay, what's going on? I just got home from work. And she's like sitting out there and you know, this is, you know, unusual for her. And she is like, you know, and it's cold. I remember that too. It was cold. And she was wearing her black coat and like a pea coat. And she was like crying. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And I was really worried. I was like, well, you know, what do you tell me? Like someone passed away? Are you sick? What's going on? And she was crying and she's like, I'm so sorry, but I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's great. And it was amazing. I was like, that's great. I was like, how am I going to do this now? And now I have another mouth to feed and our business is really going downhill. So I was trying to stay optimistic and I was very happy that she was pregnant, but we were supposed to do that. That was supposed to happen, you know, from the trip to Spain, and it was supposed to be the storybook, you know, story.
Right.
And so she's like, well, we can't go now. And I said, no, we can go. We promised ourselves, let's make this happen. Let's do this. We this is our opportunity anyways, because now for sure, we're not gonna be able to go for a long time. So we just basically said, yes, let's make it happen. And we put everything back on credit cards. And during this time, I was reading a book called The Alchemist, and it's one of those books that always changed my world. And it was a book that told me, because I was like really having a hard time and I wasn't telling her everything. So I was like trying to find myself. And I had someone in my life came into my life, said, hey, read this book. And I said, okay. And I'm not a big reader.
It's so weird because that was the first question I was going to ask you, because it sounds so much like The Alchemist.
It's exactly. I'm getting chills right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. It's great. Have you read that?
I have not. No.
You got to read it this week.
It's a pretty quick read. It's amazing.
I read
Change
it
your life.
once a year.
Do you really?
And
That's
every
great.
time I read it, there's more lessons out of it.
That's fantastic.
I've read it probably 20, 25 times.
Wow.
But we now gift it to.
I do the same thing.
you.
I do the same thing. It's weird because I have one copy for myself and one new copy that I haven't opened up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when I feel somebody needs to read this, I give it to them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
In a nutshell,
this is crazy.
In a
This is
nutshell,
crazy.
it's basically a person who has a dream, says, oh, I'm going to go after my dream. He you know, has a dream one night and he says, I'm going to do this. He saves up all his money, gets all ready, and he's you know, he's a farmer and he deals with sheep, and he basically puts all of his money together and says, I'm going, and I know I have to go to the pyramids. I have to go into Africa. And he was in Spain and he had a crossover and go into Africa, and literally he does that, and the first person he meets is like so nice and great, and he's like helping him out. He's like, yeah, I'll show you everything. Oh, you need to go to the pyramid? Oh, I know exactly where to go. He's like, you know, this is really great. This is so nice. I can't believe you're helping me out so much. I really appreciate you. He's like, okay, great. I'm really happy you feel that way about me. So now I need you to give me all your money. And he's like, pardon? Excuse me?
Excuse me. What was that?
And he's like, yeah, I'm robbing you right now. This whole thing was a facade. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, give me all your money or I'm going to do something to you. And he said, oh my God. So he gives him all of his fortune and he saved up all for it. And now he's in Africa and he's broke and he has to figure out what to do. And he's really, you know, depressed and sad and doesn't know really how to get out of it. But then he kind of, you know, asks the universe, he asks God, hey, I need help. I need to figure this out. And basically he says, keep moving forward. You got to keep moving forward. And along the way, he ends up meeting a shop owner who basically helps him out.
We don't have to give away the whole story, but
No, I wanted to get to this point though.
Yeah.
Because my next question is if this has a relationship to what you do now.
Yeah,
exactly
100%.
parallel.
Meets a shop owner. Shop owner gives him a new sense of, you know, of value, because he felt like he had no value. He felt like he was a failure. He couldn't do anything more. He's really just not going to do anything. And then the shop owner says, hey, I have a crystal company. I need you to help me. I have really bad sales. Well, this guy ends up taking over as a salesperson and does really well for the company. And the sales guy's like, or I'm sorry, the owner of the shop's like, you just changed my business. You just did everything for me. And the man's like, well, great. I continue. I'm going to just be here for you. He's like, no, you're done with me. Like, you did everything for me. You need to move on to your journey. Your journey is still going on. And then he meets someone else and meets this and that. And, you know, I don't know how much you want me to say about the storyline, but basically you got to keep persevering.
Right.
You got to keep fighting through stuff. And that was my mind. And I just said, okay, let's make this happen. So
Yeah.
along this way, do you want me to continue on the Spain, what happened in Spain, or do you want to interject on?
We'll let the listeners actually.
And that's a wrap on today's Marketing Corner with CS Design Studios. Remember, the journey to greatness is non-stop. Harness today's insights and let them fuel your ambitions. Big thanks to our community of go-getters and visionaries. And remember to subscribe and activate alerts to stay connected for more transformative ideas. Till next time, keep reaching for the stars.